My friend, you have an immense shelf full of self-help books, whole loads of content, a brain that is filled with the ins and outs of the CNS and polyvagal systems and how stress works and trauma loops and all of the rest. Let me ask you a question. Between this year and last year, how much has truly changed in your life? If the answer is a big, fat nothing, then allow me to introduce you to a concept. It's called the self-help bulimic, and as the name suggests, you may absorb the content, but you puke it up because it never comes out the other end. There is no traction, no action, no satisfaction. All you're doing is just going through the motions with no emotion. And none of these fools are going to tell you this because they're all in on the grift. Look, the predator of consciousness works on attention, alright? You know how they say that if a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to listen? Same kind of thing. That hints about the primacy of consciousness. Now, the reason why I made this video is because I know there are some people who watched the last one about what if fear equals excitement, and they will automatically ignore what I said and go on to the next vid thinking, well, what if I miss something? What if there's something in there that I need? Alright? Do you remember when you were a baby, you had no idea how to walk, how to talk, how to sing, how to dance, how to paint, how to create? You figured it out as you went. That's in a sense, my friend. Now all the rest of this crap that you're engaging in is merely buffing up the false self. The false self, it only has strength by making you accept its weakness. It is scared to die because it is of this realm. You may be in this world, but you are most certainly not of it. And there's a huge difference. Grokking that in the flesh generates gnosis. So from here on out, what I want you to do is accept a challenge. For the next 9 rays, you don't consume any self-help content. You don't look at any books about it. You don't check in with your vision board or whatever other cope you've got going. You do something else. Try something different, because obviously what you've been doing has got you to the point where you're watching this video, so it hasn't worked. So let's try something dramatic. Alright? Now some people may sit there and notice that an immense fear and dread comes over them even at the thought of this concept. That's fantastic. You can start mining the shadow's depth and you ask, when else did I feel like this? This is how I went beyond Jung and PKD. Now I spent over a decade and some change looking in the depths of my mind, and what I found there was fascinating. It truly was something else, and it completely changed my perspective on all of this. You see, if there are 2 people walking through the plains of Africa and they see a bush with something rumbling in it, and one of them thinks it's a lion and the other one is not so cautious, and it happens to be correct, can you guess which one gets et? We are all descendants of the cautious ones, ergo the anxiety and all the rest of the stuff. You can say it's pre-programmed in. But the rest of the world as it is pimps this ad infinitum. I mean, have you never ever wondered why in all of these so-called terrorist attacks around the world, they've never actually just went and gone and put 2 in the head of a prime minister, politician, president, someone who counts? Why do they always scare the crap out of the plebs? It's a grift. It's a con, alright? Now you don't even need a tinfoil turban to figure that one out. It's just the way that it is. Napoleon said the man is moved by 2 levers, fear and self-interest. You look at your life, you see where fear and self-interest have got you. Right here, now, watching this, with a shelf full of self-help books, loads of content in your head, and more knowledge than people who probably work in the trade. And yet, your life is still a mess. Tell me, in all of these books and all of these things that you've seen and been, how many of them have told you that you are not the voice in your head? How many of them have instructed you how to comprehend that you are the one that listens? What about choosing to reject the suggestions? So next time it's trying to remind you at 2 a.m. of what you said in that restaurant, just say, thanks, I appreciate what you're saying, but I reject that. Why don't you share some information on how to achieve my goals? See what kicks. Start rewriting your dialogue. I guarantee that if you're still listening and you take that 9 ray off challenge and you do this, you will see much more traction than you ever have. Now, many of you will be filled with dread at the sheer fact of losing this concept because it's like a baby's pacifier. You need it. You need this thing, this external crutch, but once again, taking it back to then, nobody had to program or instruct you. Nobody has to teach you not to kill anybody. You know that automatically. It comes in you off rip. We go through a stage as children where we have like a level of selfishness, but then the stage of empathy comes out. This is what the world attempts to suppress. This is why the school hammers a triangle into your head and then puts up a cube on top if you're the best at regurgitating what they said. It's an entire grift. We live in a world that is ran by psychopaths for insane ends, and if you point it out, they'll say that you're crazy as hell, which is pretty wild if you think about it. But the thing with this lot is that time is done. The old world order is dead. This is why the game's getting more and more audacious, my friend, because they need you to stress. They're vampires. This is how they stay fed. But we're veering onto different topics here, and this is what I'm telling you. The way that you help yourself is by doing what you don't want to do. Then you take a concrete, actionable step that you can look at tomorrow and say, well, I survived that. And then, well, I survived that. And then before you do it, you're wearing a brand new groove. It's a totally different game. Otherwise, you're just going around and around and around in this repetitive loop. You hear what I'm saying? Now go give it a spin and see what kicks. Till we meet again.